Welcome to Great Lives. I'm Daniel. Here, we honor individuals whose journeys shaped history and inspired millions. Their courage, talent, and dedication left a lasting mark across generations. Join us as we revisit their stories from film, music, sports, and culture, celebrating lives that continue to inspire and remain unforgettable through time. Moya Brennan is widely recognized as one of the most influential voices in Celtic music, often referred to as the, quote, First Lady of Celtic Sound. Her music carries a timeless quality, blending emotion, spirituality, and the deep cultural roots of Ireland into something truly distinctive and widely admired. Born on August 9, 1952, in County Donegal, she grew up in a large, musical family where traditional Irish culture was part of everyday life. Surrounded by Gaelic language, storytelling, and folk melodies, she developed a natural sensitivity to music from an early age. Performing in her family's pub helped shape her voice into something expressive and unforgettable, often described as both soothing and haunting. In 1970, she became part of Clannad, a group formed with her family that would go on to redefine Celtic music on a global stage. Their breakthrough success brought Irish-language music to international audiences and opened doors for Celtic sounds in mainstream culture. Moya's voice became the emotional center of their work, helping the group achieve worldwide recognition and lasting influence. Alongside her group work, she also built a respected solo career, collaborating with various artists and contributing to film and media projects. Her style continued to evolve while staying rooted in tradition. Through her music, Moya Brennan is remembered for preserving Irish heritage while sharing it with the world in a deeply personal and powerful way. 5 years ago, the entertainment world marked the quiet passing of Jessica Walter at the age of 80, a performer whose work left a lasting imprint across film and television. She had a rare ability to shift between intensity and warmth, often within the same role, making her performances feel layered and unforgettable. Many first discovered her through Play Misty for Me, where she delivered a gripping performance that continues to resonate with audiences even decades later. It showcased her early strength as an actress capable of carrying emotional complexity with ease and control. Later, she became widely loved by a new generation for her iconic role as Lucille Bluth in Arrested Development. With razor-sharp timing and a perfectly dry delivery, she turned every line into something memorable, balancing sarcasm with surprising emotional undertones. In her later career, she continued to evolve creatively through voice acting, most notably as Mallory Archer in Archer. Even without appearing on screen, her voice alone carried authority, humor, and unmistakable character, proving her range was still expanding. Jessica Walter's legacy is not just about the roles she played, but how she played them, with precision, confidence, and a distinct presence that stayed with audiences long after the scenes ended. Born on September 16, 1933, Eileen Fulton became one of the most familiar and enduring faces in daytime drama. Her work helped define the emotional style and long-running storytelling that soap operas became known for, leaving a lasting mark on television history. She is best remembered for her role as Lisa Grimaldi on As the World Turns, a character she portrayed with remarkable depth and longevity. Over the years, she brought layers of charm, ambition, vulnerability, and strength to the role, allowing the character to grow and change in ways that kept audiences deeply engaged. At a time when female characters on television were often written in simple terms, her performance helped open the door to more complex and realistic portrayals. Beyond acting, she explored other creative paths, including writing and music, always carrying a sense of authenticity in her work. Viewers connected with her not only because of her talent, but because of the sincerity she brought to everything she did. Her career also spanned a transformative period in television history, witnessing the shift from early broadcast formats to modern storytelling styles. Through decades of work, she remained a steady presence in an ever-changing industry. Her contribution to daytime television continues to be remembered through the characters she portrayed and the emotional stories she helped bring to life. DJ Daniel Ware, widely known as DJ Dan, passed away at the age of 57, leaving behind a meaningful legacy in electronic music. He was recognized as one of the influential figures who helped shape the West Coast house sound, a style known for its driving rhythm, deep energy, and emotional pulse that filled dance floors for years. For many fans, DJ Dan was never just a name on a lineup. He was an artist who created unforgettable moments through music that brought people together. His tracks, including the well-known Phone track and the distinctive Zipper track, became underground favorites, often heard in clubs and festival sets. These productions carried his signature style, playful, bold, and built for movement. Over the course of his career, he earned strong respect within the house music community. DJs and listeners alike appreciated his ability to stay true to the roots of the genre, while still pushing its energy forward. His influence can still be felt in modern sets and productions that carry echoes of his sound. Even after his passing, DJ Dan's music continues to live on in clubs, playlists, and memories. His contribution to house music remains a reminder of how one artist's creativity can help shape an entire era of sound and culture. Bob Uecker, born in 1934, became one of those rare personalities who turned a love for baseball into a lifelong connection with millions of fans. While he began his journey as a professional player, it was his natural humor and unmistakable voice that ultimately defined his legacy far more than his time on the field. As a broadcaster, he had a unique ability to bring baseball to life in a way that felt effortless and genuine. His commentary wasn't just about describing the game, it was about telling stories, sharing laughs, and making listeners feel like they were part of something familiar and enjoyable. Even the slowest moments in a match often became memorable, simply because of his presence. Beyond sports broadcasting, he also appeared in films, commercials, and television programs, always carrying the same relaxed charm that made him so relatable. Audiences didn't just recognize him, they felt a connection to him, as if he were a longtime friend speaking directly to them. What made him especially beloved was his honesty about himself. He often joked about his playing career and never tried to present himself as perfect. That openness only strengthened the respect people had for him. He passed away in early 2025 at the age of 90. His voice and humor remain deeply woven into baseball culture, remembered for bringing warmth, laughter, and humanity to the game. There are certain voices that do more than speak. They settle into the culture itself, becoming part of the emotional memory of generations. Sam Elliott's voice belongs in that rare category. Deep, weathered, patient, and unmistakably human, it carried the spirit of the American West into modern cinema, long after the genre itself had faded from popularity. Audiences did not merely hear him, they felt him. His presence on screen could quiet a scene without effort, transforming ordinary dialogue into something reflective and timeless. Yet the remarkable truth behind his legend is that Hollywood almost overlooked him entirely. For nearly 20 years he wandered through the industry as the actor everyone recognized, but few remembered by name. He stood on the edge of success, while more marketable stars claimed the opportunities that seemed destined for him. Unlike performers launched overnight into celebrity, Elliott was shaped slowly through disappointment, rejection, and persistence. Behind the famous mustache and calm authority was a man carrying private grief and unresolved longing. His rise was not built on glamour or luck, it was built on endurance. The journey that eventually made him an icon began not in Hollywood but in silence, distance, and the painful need for approval from a father who never fully understood him. A childhood marked by quiet distance, Sam Elliott was born on August 9, 1944, in Sacramento, California, into a household that appeared stable and respectable from the outside. His father, Henry Nelson Elliott, worked for the California Department of Fish and Game and believed deeply in discipline, practicality, and responsibility. His mother, Glynn Mamie Sparks, offered warmth and steadiness, balancing the emotional reserve that defined her husband. Yet beneath the ordinary structure of family life existed a quiet emotional divide that shaped Sam's understanding of himself. His father was not cruel or neglectful in the traditional sense. He provided structure and stability, but affection and encouragement rarely surfaced. Approval felt distant, almost unreachable. For a sensitive and imaginative boy, that absence mattered deeply. Sam longed to be recognized for who he was becoming, but the emotional language between father and son never fully developed. When the family later moved to Portland, Oregon, the relocation intensified his sense of isolation. He became a tall, awkward teenager trying to understand his place in the world. School brought little distinction or confidence. Instead, He found comfort outdoors among forests, hills, and open landscapes where expectations disappeared. Nature became his refuge. In those quiet surroundings, he discovered a sense of identity untouched by criticism or disappointment, though the ache for his father's validation continued to grow beneath the surface, discovering a calling no one supported. As Sam Elliott entered early adulthood, he discovered something that felt larger than ambition. Acting was not simply an interest or temporary fascination. It felt necessary, almost unavoidable. He had watched Western films as a child and sensed something powerful in the performances of men who carried emotion through restraint rather than spectacle. Acting seemed capable of expressing truths that ordinary conversation could not. Yet the moment he revealed that dream, conflict entered his relationship with his father more sharply than ever before. Henry Elliott believed in dependable professions and practical labor. To him, acting represented instability and uncertainty, a dangerous fantasy rather than a meaningful career. Their disagreement did not erupt into dramatic arguments. Instead, it settled into a steady current of disappointment that quietly shaped Sam's decisions. He transferred schools, attended Clark College in Washington, and attempted practical work as a land surveyor, trying to satisfy expectations he never truly shared. But the pull toward performance remained impossible to ignore. Some people chase dreams because they want success. Others pursue them because abandoning them feels impossible. Sam belonged to the second category. Eventually, he made the difficult decision to move to Los Angeles during the 1960s. He arrived without powerful connections, wealth, or confidence, carrying only determination and the stubborn refusal to let fear define his future. Hollywood, however, offered no immediate welcome. Hollywood's long years of rejection. The Hollywood Sam Elliott entered was not interested in making room for unusual newcomers. The industry preferred polished leading men who fit recognizable formulas, and Elliott's rugged authenticity felt out of place. He was too quiet for comedy, too intense for light romance, and too unconventional for the fashionable anti-heroes dominating cinema during the era. Instead of stardom, he found survival. He worked in commercials, waited tables, parked cars, and accepted tiny acting roles simply to remain close to the industry he hoped would eventually notice him. Auditions often ended without callbacks. Casting directors recognized his presence but struggled to imagine where he belonged. During those years, disappointment became routine. Hope itself grew exhausting. Yet Elliott continued showing up. A brief appearance in a Chevron commercial became meaningful not because it brought fame, but because it suggested movement. Television appearances followed in scattered fragments. He played minor roles that vanished almost as quickly as they appeared. For many actors, such years become unbearable. Hollywood slowly convinces people they are invisible until they finally leave. Elliott came dangerously close to that edge more than once, but persistence had become part of his identity. Every rejection deepened his resolve rather than destroying it. He understood instinctively that success, if it came at all, would arrive slowly, and only after he proved he could survive the waiting. The father, who never saw the triumph. In 1970, while Sam Elliott was still struggling to establish himself, tragedy arrived with cruel timing. His father died before witnessing any meaningful success in his son's career. The loss carried a particular emotional weight because so much of Sam's determination had been tied to earning the approval that always seemed just beyond reach. Henry Elliott never lived to see the performances that would eventually define his son's legacy. He never heard audiences fall silent when Sam spoke on screen. He never watched the world embrace the qualities he once doubted. That absence remained deeply painful. Elliott rarely discussed his father publicly, but whenever he did, the restraint in his words revealed how unresolved the wound remained. There is a unique heartbreak in becoming successful after the person whose recognition mattered most is already gone. The achievement arrives, but the emotional closure never does. For Sam, his father's death transformed persistence into something even more personal. He no longer worked merely to succeed. He worked because stopping would have meant surrendering everything he had already sacrificed. Grief hardened him quietly. It made him more disciplined, more focused, and more emotionally self-contained. The rejection he endured in Hollywood no longer felt entirely separate from childhood disappointment. Both had taught him the same lesson. Recognition could not be expected. It had to be survived long enough to finally arrive. A love story Hollywood could never manufacture. During the years when professional certainty still felt distant, Sam Elliott found something far more enduring than fame. Catherine Ross entered his life not through dramatic romance but through timing, patience, and mutual understanding. They first met briefly, while filming Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid in 1969. At the time, Ross was already an acclaimed actress celebrated for films like The Graduate, while Elliott remained a struggling performer with little industry status. Their interaction was minimal, the kind of fleeting encounter easily forgotten in Hollywood's constant motion. Yet nearly a decade later, they reunited while working on The Legacy in 1978. This time, something deeper emerged between them. Their relationship developed slowly and without spectacle. There were no carefully staged public romances or celebrity theatrics. Instead, they built trust quietly over time. Ross had already experienced the pressures and disappointments of fame, and Elliott understood hardship in a different but equally profound way. They recognized stability in one another. In 1984, they married in a ceremony reflecting exactly who they were: private, deliberate, and sincere. Their bond became one of Hollywood's rare enduring partnerships. Rather than feeding each other's egos, they grounded one another emotionally. For Elliott especially, Catherine provided the acceptance and emotional safety he had spent much of his life searching for without fully realizing it. Finally, becoming an American icon. The transformation from respected character actor to cultural icon did not happen suddenly for Sam Elliott. Instead, it unfolded gradually, as audiences finally began recognizing the qualities Hollywood had underestimated for years. During the 1980s and 1990s, his performances in films such as Mask, Roadhouse, Tombstone, and Gettysburg established him as the embodiment of rugged American authenticity. He became more than an actor playing cowboys and soldiers. He represented a disappearing idea of masculinity rooted in quiet strength, loyalty, restraint, and moral steadiness. Elliott possessed the rare ability to command attention without demanding it. A single line delivered in his voice could carry more emotional weight than entire speeches from other performers. Audiences trusted him instinctively. He felt believable in every role because he never appeared to perform for admiration. Even his physical appearance became symbolic. The mustache, the measured posture, the deep drawl all evolved into elements of cinematic mythology. Yet despite growing recognition, Elliott remained remarkably grounded. He understood too clearly how temporary fame could be and how many years he had spent ignored. Unlike actors shaped entirely by celebrity culture, he carried the memory of rejection with him. That memory protected him from arrogance. It also deepened the emotional honesty that audiences sensed whenever he appeared on screen, whether in westerns, dramas, or narration work. The controversy that threatened his legacy. Even after decades of respect and admiration, Sam Elliott discovered that public reputation remains fragile regardless of age or accomplishment. In 2022, comments he made criticizing aspects of the Western film The Power of the Dog sparked widespread backlash. Elliott questioned the film's portrayal of masculinity and authenticity within the Western genre, remarks many interpreted as dismissive and insensitive. Suddenly, the same outspoken honesty that audiences had long admired placed him at the center of controversy. Social media intensified the criticism rapidly, and conversations emerged about whether his views reflected outdated attitudes. For a performer who had spent a lifetime earning trust slowly and carefully, the backlash carried serious emotional and professional consequences. Yet the controversy also revealed something important about Elliott himself. He did not respond with theatrical apologies or calculated image management. Instead, he addressed the issue directly while acknowledging that his words had caused hurt. The moment demonstrated the complicated reality of aging in public view. Legends are often expected to remain permanently symbolic, frozen in cultural memory rather than functioning as flawed human beings. Elliott's controversy did not erase his career, but it reminded audiences that even icons remain vulnerable to changing cultural expectations. It also highlighted how difficult it can be for older generations to navigate evolving conversations about identity, art, and representation. The enduring meaning of Sam Elliott. What ultimately separates Sam Elliott from many Hollywood legends is not simply talent or longevity. It is the extraordinary consistency between the man audiences imagine and the person he appears to be. In an industry built on reinvention, performance, and carefully manufactured identity, Elliott remained remarkably unchanged across decades. He never chased trends or reshaped himself to fit cultural fashion. Instead, he allowed the world to gradually recognize the value of qualities that had always existed within him. His story resonates because it reflects a deeper human truth about patience and endurance. Not every meaningful life begins with immediate validation. Some identities require years of struggle before others learn how to see them clearly. Eliot spent decades waiting for recognition without surrendering the authenticity that made recognition possible in the first place. The emotional wound left by his father's disapproval never completely disappeared, but perhaps that pain also forged the determination that carried him through Hollywood's indifference. His marriage to Catherine Ross provided emotional grounding rare within celebrity culture, while his performances gave audiences a sense of honesty increasingly uncommon in modern cinema. Sam Elliott became iconic not because he tried to become a symbol, but because he remained unmistakably himself long enough for the culture to finally understand what it was witnessing, a legacy built on patience and truth. The story of Sam Elliott is ultimately not about fame alone. It is about survival, identity, and the quiet courage required to remain faithful to yourself while the world repeatedly asks you to become someone easier to market. For more than 50 years, his voice and presence have carried through American cinema like echoes from another era, reminding audiences of values that feel increasingly fragile in modern culture. Yet beneath the legend exists a deeply human story shaped by rejection, grief, perseverance, and love. He lost the chance to hear his father say he was proud. He endured decades of uncertainty before success arrived. He weathered controversy late in life after spending years building public trust. Through all of it, he never abandoned the qualities that defined him from the beginning. That is why his legacy endures so powerfully. Sam Elliott represents more than Western masculinity or cinematic nostalgia. He represents authenticity sustained over time. In a culture obsessed with speed, reinvention, and instant recognition, his life stands as proof that some forms of greatness are earned slowly. They are carved through patience, disappointment, and resilience, until eventually the world stops long enough to notice what has been standing there all along. And when audiences hear that unmistakable voice today, they are not simply hearing an actor. They are hearing the sound of endurance itself. Top of form, bottom of form.